Welcome to Just Picture It. I'm Fung. We'll be talking today about Franchise for Humanity. This is a new kind of gathering place on the planet for people to take action on behalf of the generations who follow us, just as our ancestors have prepared for us. Franchise for Humanity is a place to help each of us find our voice, discover fellow travelers, and together learn to be a responsible crew for our planet Earth. At the beginning of Franchise for Humanity, we set the context with this video. Let's take a look.
How one species changed a planet. The latest chapter of our story begins in England 250 years ago. Fueled by coal, then oil, several brilliant inventions appeared. They ignited the Industrial Revolution, which spread like wildfire through Europe, North America, Japan, then elsewhere. The great railways, then cars and highways, connected people across the globe. Medical discoveries saved millions of lives. New artificial fertilizers meant we could feed more people. Population rose rapidly. But this was nothing compared with what was to come. The 1950s marked the beginning of the Great Acceleration. Globalization, marketing, tourism, and huge investments helped fuel enormous growth. People swarmed to cities, which became even more powerful engines of creativity. In a single lifetime, the well-being of millions has improved beyond measure. Health, wealth, security, longevity, never have so many had so much. Yet 1 billion are malnourished. In a single lifetime, we have grown into a phenomenal global force. We move more sediment and rock annually than all natural processes, such as erosion and rivers. We manage 3/4 of all land outside the ice sheets. Greenhouse gas levels this high have not been seen for over 1 million years. Temperatures are increasing. We have made a hole in the ozone layer. We are losing biodiversity. Many of the world's deltas are sinking due to damming, mining, and other causes. Sea level is rising. Ocean acidification is a real threat. We are altering Earth's natural cycles. We have entered the Anthropocene, a new geological epoch dominated by humanity. This relentless pressure on our planet risks unprecedented destabilization. But our creativity, energy, and industry offer hope. We have shaped our past. We are shaping our present. We can shape our future. You and I are part of this story. We are the first generation to realize this new responsibility. As the population grows to 9 billion, we must find a safe operating space for humanity, for the sake of future generations. Welcome to the Anthropocene.
As part of a gathering of 750 people at the Global Innovation Summit in Silicon Valley early in 2014, we convened a 2-day gathering of people to harvest the potential for a better future. This is a group of people who stand ready to reimagine the future as one that offers the right and privilege to more and more people to live and thrive. The Franchise for Humanity was co-created by all of the people in this picture. We are honored to have 2 of them with us. Let's turn first to Kennan Salinero, PhD. Kennan has held positions in numerous institutions within the basic sciences, including as a faculty member at Georgetown University's Department of Chemistry, at Salinero Genomics, the Human Genome Project, and at UC Berkeley and the Joint Genome Institute. She's on the board of Innovation Tri-Valley Leadership Group, TEDx Livermore's, and the advisory board for Avatar Research Institute, also the Open Science Alliance. Kennan is a founding board member for California Health Corps, and she's a judge for the East Bay Innovation Awards. Welcome, Kennan.
Thank you, Malin. So the way I see it, we actually have a global innovation ecosystem that's information, and I think each of us has a choice to either sit back and feel either helpless or helpless and hopeless and wait for others to take up the reins. Or we can step up and really engage so that more people have the opportunity to thrive today the way that we do. And so I think that the time has really come for us to create what I call light structures that will allow global innovation in an ecosystem that it would be welcoming for all and that will shepherd in the next era for humanity. I think that right now we're at a point in history where the developments of technology, the frontiers of science, human knowledge are all opening up these really great new windows of opportunity, but at the same time, we have current models of employment, enterprise, discovery that are being disrupted. And while we have that, we're in a more connected world, more ways of networking, more ways of communicating than ever before.
Wow, Kennan, you just said it. And just now, at this moment of great change, we find ourselves shifting in so many ways, in our work, at our play, and our thinking, in our families. It's exciting and confusing, and not just for us. Big institutions, corporations, governments even, are mobilizing for impact, reconsidering their ideas and policies. We're seeing big disruption all over. This next global transformation could lead to the thriving of billions of lives, or not. So now, Franchise for Humanity, as we are co-creating, I want to welcome Tammy Chan, our third co-creator here for Franchise for Humanity. Tammy is an information technology consultant with a background in financial reporting systems, business process improvement, and data analysis. She studied in the field of management science in the Department of Economics at the University of California in San Diego. Tammy is also a founding member of the California Health Corps. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you.
Tammy, what do you see your role in the Franchise for Humanity?
Well, I think that my role in Franchise for Humanity is to help facilitate and encourage members in the group to continue to collaborate with each other and also find and identify synergetic opportunities to help each other out within their projects. So everyone in the group is doing something really interesting and amazing. And I also help to lead the every week Tuesdays calls to exchange information about current events or information about what their current activities are within the group. And so it's really nice to know that you're not the only person, or I'm not the only person who's working on the project, and to have a community of people who are supporting each other through the way. Yes.
So how has Franchise for Humanity helped you in the work that you set out to do?
Yeah, so having a collaborative support network of passionate individuals with similar interests has really contributed to my motivation to solve one of our most pressing problems in social issues, which is the unemployment issue. So I had the opportunity to interview Vint Cerf, also known as the father of the internet, where we explored the challenges of unemployment and how to bring meaningful work into the workplace.
So let's show the clip of that interview.
All innovations produce jobs. And the reason for this is that if nobody takes up the innovation, then it may not create a business at all. On the other hand, some innovations remove jobs. Another problem here is the rate at which jobs change. The jobs that are currently filled are quite different from the jobs of 5 years ago. Then you have to start thinking, what kind of training should I give people so that when they emerge from the system after 4 years of college, what are they prepared for, and what if the jobs that are open have changed or will change after they've completed this formal period of education? Jobs are things that people get paid for, but that isn't necessarily what they're looking for. They're looking for meaningful work. I think we have to conclude that getting an education and then working for a career doesn't work anymore, and you need to keep learning. You need to be prepared to learn. You need to want to learn, and we need to be provided with the means to learn.
Tammy, you've enlisted the guidance of the father of the internet. So what are you going to do now, having had that conversation?
So after the conversation, I've been inspired to continue to search for more answers about providing opportunities for job seekers to actually receive some engagement from more mentors within our community to explore about the different career options they have. So as Vint had mentioned in his interview, the demanding workforce is requiring us to keep on learning, and mentorship is just one aspect to look into that would provide the kind of guidance that, on what to learn on the internet. So I think the need for more mentorship in our community to help job seekers transition into new jobs is going to be really important in the future. And the project was inspired originally by my younger sister, Nicole, and she had been exploring on her future careers because she's only 16 years old. And one day we just decided to cold call the Space Observatory because she wanted to become an astronomer. And so the astronomer was really nice enough to spend only half an hour of her time to answer her questions. And it became immediately apparent to her that her perception of an astronomer was completely different from what she had imagined. So oftentimes we think we know enough to make really big decisions about our career, such as going to school for years and getting into student loan debt, about getting into a field, only to discover that this is not exactly what we want. So it's actually been a really learning experience for me to understand that it's really important to receive mentorship through the way and to connect with and exchange information about the careers outside of schools and institutions. In order to adapt to a fast-changing environment, it will be necessary for job seekers to get a better perspective about the big picture to motivate them to pursue a certain career.
Tammy, you are plowing the way for so many young people. Thank you for all that you're doing. I think we are honored in Franchise for Humanity to be supporting you and have you part of our group as one of our co-creators.
Thank you.
So I want to shift now back to Kennan. Kennan, what are you doing about careers in science? You've got a background in science. What do you think of what Tammy said? And what do you think what are young people in science facing?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I come from a background in basic research science, and it couldn't be a better time to be alive as a scientist. All the different things that we're learning, the frontiers, both grand and tiny. So it really is a golden era of science. However, science is not different from any other sector. The housing industry, employment, as you say, for young college grads, science is going through those same kinds of stressors right now. And in fact, there's a paper that was just published by Bruce Alberts and 3 other top scientists just April of this year that declared biomedical science in the U.S. is unsustainable. And it's because of the same kind of big picture conniptions, for lack of a better word. So right now what we have is we have technology up here, what we've created, but our human structures, our human habits, our human basic individualism is down here, and we have a gap between the two. It's interesting because one of my favorite systems biologists, Uri Elan from Weizmann Institute, he calls this gap the cloud. And I've just been reading Creativity, Inc. by Ed Catmull, and he says the same thing about creatives. He says that any people that are in highly complex creative endeavors will always go through a space where they're lost. And I say that in humanity, we're actually paralleling that progression for individuals. So in this gap, what I've been noticing is in the software industry and some of the technology sectors, there have been these individual parallel inputs to span the gap. And what those inputs are they are people being able to work together. They're people being able to look at the bigger picture, and it's the support structures, what you've often said to me, Maylin, about people out at the frontier and reporting back to each other. So one of the biggest things that we need is we need that shoring up. We need that ability to replenish ourselves, to connect, to find out what good ideas there are. And really, humanity is poised to start working together collaboratively in a way that we haven't before. And the need for this comes from our systems. It comes from the planet. In October this last year, I had this systems mapping at the Presidio, yes. And this tall, shock of white hair Irishman, Brian Donahue, came in, and he had been doing this very new kind of approach at Berkeley of public service contracts in the university, which is part of this self-organizing for new ways of approaching things. At the Global Innovation Summit, I met Linda Staheli, who likewise is looking at how can we use science across the planet, how can we use scientists themselves to create peace and prosperity by working together differently. And so I'm really interested in this new era of how do we work together, because the planet needs it.
So I hear you saying that we need trading posts where people can come together from many disciplines, just like Tammy and you and I have come together in Franchise for Humanity. So Franchise for Humanity is something like a trading post on the frontier of the future. I just want to honor you, Kennan, for the work that you have done in pioneering this. And I'd like us to see a clip where you describe the work that you've been doing with Yamina Science. So let's take a look at that clip.
I'm Salinero, and I'm a basic science researcher who has a vision and sees what's possible in science. There are a number of problems that are not solved in society right now. And what I'm interested in with Yamina Science and Technology, Yamina means the highest form of living, is to bridge that gap. I see where we could be. I see the type of research that's just calling for attention. I see these complex systems that we could be understanding and explaining. And the gap is how we do science. We actually are training more scientists at the PhD level and postdoc level than we have jobs for in basic research. And over the years, I watched people fall off the plate of science, and we would lose what they had to contribute. So there's very real examples in how we reward science right now that is limiting science. And if people out in the general public know that science is open with information that they can read in the paper and understand, and not be put off by it, not be like this is a special area that only smart people know and it's too hard to understand and they're too busy to explain it, it would make a huge difference. What I envision, there are some movements out in the corporate world in the technology sector for new experiments and ways of organizing the workplace that are highly effective, highly collaborative, highly experimental. So what we are doing is we are creating the context for critical conversations to occur among various agencies, between science and society, between scientists themselves. We have a website. This website is also designed to bring people together to have this common conversation. We also are putting together a conference of leading thinkers and a coaching practice for intuition, creativity, and collaboration. Ultimately, what I would love to see, that we're actually creating places for myself and others like me to be able to do our work at the highest level, working very interactively with others. And it would look like institutions where you go in and there's a vibrancy. It would look like people being fully alive, not worn out by lack of sleep. It would look like people being really excited about their competitors' results and actually wanting to contribute to the larger knowledge base. It would look like just a general vitality in the sciences. And I know that we can address those if we work together. I see very clearly that ability, and we just need to go there.
Okay. Kennan, your life's work I just can only pay tribute to what you've been doing. It's so important, and you're leading the way for a whole new generation of people and helping them to make much more use of their time and their passion for science.
Yeah.
So I think now we're here. We want to talk about what's next for Franchise for Humanity. We're the co-creators. What have we been doing? So Next Tuesday calls. Tammy, you talked about Next Tuesday calls. What have we been doing in our Next Tuesday calls?
Yeah, sure. So this was your idea, actually. I definitely picked it up and decided to run with it. And getting people really excited about meeting with each other to talk about what their current activities are. And you'd be surprised, every week there's something different and something really interesting to talk about. And there's something also to learn from each other within the group, too.
Kennan, how have you found the Next Tuesday calls?
I love the consistency because it's being able to come together once a week, and it keeps a continuity so that we're finding out what each other's doing. We're finding out what our different projects are. There is amazing overlap. What I love about any group like this is it has people actually go to new places to do new things with people. So it creates actual activity and momentum.
So I think it's time for me to let you know the history of the Next Tuesday Call. So,
Drum roll.
For 5 years, I was working with the Department of Defense about the future of health. In fact, many of the ideas that I'm bringing to the Franchise for Humanity come from that realization that if we want a better future for health, we better do something ourselves. You know, it's not going to come from the government. It's not going to come from somebody else. If we don't like what we're seeing, we need to do something. And so one of the things that happened was the community health centers around the country started to have Next Tuesday calls. Oh. And, you know, you talked about the drum roll. This became a drum beat, the drum beat of Next Tuesday calls. At the beginning, just like us, it's like, okay, we'll talk. What are we doing? And then you start to hear, oh, Kennan's doing this fabulous thing with Yamina. And then we've got Jonathan Trent with Omega, and he's doing amazing things about biofuels and new ways of generating energy. So then you have other people saying, well, if Jonathan can do that, why can't I do something? So then Tammy says, I want to take my dream of mentorship and take it forward. How did it work for you? Did it help for you to hear other people and what they were doing?
Yes, I actually saw a lot of synergy within the group, because even if it's different and it's a different topic, you know, there's Jonathan and Trent who's working on the Omega project on alternative energy, and it's different than my project in a way because it's mentorship, but yet it's all very similar in some ways because he could contribute with the mentorship that I'm working on too, and vice versa.
So you were telling me that you were thinking that his project could actually have internships for young people who could learn more about the biofuels. Is that what you were thinking?
I mean, my focus is to help job seekers, adults or young, anyone who's looking for career change. And if he's there's a volunteer who is interested in helping out his project, I would be able to help him to find someone to get some volunteer hours for him too.
Great. And so, Kennan, you're in the life sciences, and so you watch how Jonathan and Tammy are talking about how internships could happen. Do you see that happening in the sciences too?
Internships have long held a place. Well, there's a whole training cycle in the sciences, but what I actually see emerging is something that isn't really at all in place yet, except in a few very early entries in the engineering sciences, et cetera. And it's basically a combination. It's part of what I'm doing with Brian Donahue right now and Sandy Bates, who is also at Franchise for Humanity. It's this idea of that hands-on learning is the best learning. And there's this gap right now because there's many different public innovative needs or needs that need to be innovated around. So what if we marry that to the training process? What if we do the whole experiential learning, project-based learning, and create a structure for students to learn while actually doing public good out in the social sphere? So it's a whole new arena of social innovation that we're talking about. We're looking at what's already been done in this space, and we're starting to create these synergies. I'm really excited about it.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I just have to almost break into song because out of the Health Futures group, we ended up forming the California Health Corps as volunteers within the community trying to improve health. Well, recently I was just down at the HOSA National Conference, and HOSA is the Health Occupation Students of America, and there's 165,000 of them in 3,000 institutions around the country. So what we started to talk about with the California HOSA is how our group, California Health Corps, could work with the students from middle school through high school to college. There's 112 chapters in California, wow. And we can start to begin working with them to look at how they could contribute to increasing the health within their communities, how they could be health ambassadors, how they could actually help people check that they've taken their medications, help them follow up to see if they were moving back home from a hospital, whether the place that they were going to was suitable for them to come back to. So I am truly enthusiastic about the possibility of young people starting to work with community health centers. I see that as very real. I think that the work that you're doing, Kennan, is really paving the way for more and more of those things. As a young person, Tammy, what do you think of if you were in high school or college? You're closer to that than we are.
A little.
How would you see if a group of people came to you and said, here's a way in which you could get involved with increasing the health of your community? What would you think?
I think it would be really awesome. It's just that there's not a whole lot of opportunities. There's not enough opportunities out there for young students and individuals to do that. So if there's a way to do that, that would be really great too. Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we do on our next Tuesday calls, we begin with a check-in, we talk about the project updates, and then we have our final word. So I'd like to go around and for us to have our final word for this. It's not a next Tuesday call, but it is our first checkpoint on our journey for Franchise for Humanity. Next month will be our 6-month anniversary.
Oh, wow.
And so what's your final word now that we're really moving into 6 months with Franchise for Humanity? What do you think, Kennan?
I like the idea of traction. I think we're getting traction, and it's tapping into a natural desire in the younger generation. They are tapped into making a difference. So traction and tapping in.
Thank you, Kennan.
Well, for me, I think I've learned great significance in actually the significance of working together and getting to know people over time. And I think that's really important to building a really good network of people with the same interest. It's been really a great experience so far. Thank you.
So my final word is joy.
I
So
love it.
thank you.
Thank you.